What happens when you ignore a man who pulled away? There's a peculiar silence that settles in when someone pulls away from you. Not the kind of silence that brings peace, but the kind that echoes, questions, and simmers with tension. For anyone who's been in the throes of an emotional connection, only to feel it slowly disintegrate as the man withdraws, the decision to ignore him in return becomes more than an act. It becomes a psychological and emotional turning point. It begins with confusion. He doesn't text like he used to. Calls become infrequent. His tone, once warm and eager, is now subdued, almost indifferent. You question everything. Was it something you said? Was it moving too fast? Was it ever real? That's when you make the hardest decision, to stop trying, not out of spite, not out of pride, but because continuing to reach out feels like begging for crumbs when you once had a feast. So you stop. You don't text good morning. You don't check if he saw your last message. You don't ask if he's okay. You disappear into your own world. At first, he might not notice. Men who pull away often expect to be chased. It's a dance many are familiar with. He distances, she pursues, he regains control. But when you step out of that dance, the rhythm falters. He may feel a flicker of confusion. She's not chasing. Then, a flare of ego. She must be hurt. Maybe she's waiting for me to say something. But as days turn into weeks, and your silence remains steady, not cold, just complete, something shifts. He begins to reflect, even if only internally. He replays moments. He scrolls through past texts. And if he did feel anything real, you'll feel a loss beginning to stir. But here's the twist. You're not ignoring him to get a reaction. At least, not anymore. You're doing it because you've started to see the truth. If someone truly values you, they don't vanish at the first sign of emotional weight. You recognize that chasing someone who's walking away is the quickest way to lose yourself. And suddenly, the silence you feared becomes your ally, your shield. In that quiet, something profound happens. You start listening to yourself again. Your needs, your voice, your worth, things that got lost in the noise of trying to hold on to someone who was slipping. Sometimes he comes back. Maybe he texts with a casual, "Hey, how have you been?" Maybe he watches your stories and reacts with a laughing emoji, as if trying to pick up where things left off, no mention of the distance he created. You recognize it now. This is the breadcrumb trail, but you're not starving anymore. If he comes back with depth, with clarity, with ownership of his distance and an honest desire to reconnect, then maybe there's room for dialogue. But if he comes back with surface-level attempts and empty charm, your silence continues, not as punishment, but as protection. And sometimes, he doesn't come back at all. That hurts too, because you realize the connection meant more to you than it did to him. But even in that, you find freedom. You no longer wait for someone who was unsure about you. You no longer measure your worth by someone else's confusion. In the end, ignoring a man who pulled away isn't about playing games. It's about drawing boundaries where there was once blurred desperation. It's about choosing yourself, even when it hurts. It's about knowing that love isn't something you should have to chase. The silence you offered wasn't absence. It was an answer.
Let me make one thing clear. I don't care how important you are to me. The moment you show me I'm not important to you, you become a stranger. Loyalty is everything. If you can't see my worth, you have no place in my life. I don't waste time on people who don't value me. Respect is earned, not given, and I only give it to those who deserve it. People come and go. I don't have time for games. You respect me, I respect you. You stand by me, I stand by you. But if you walk away, don't expect me to follow. Being in my life is a privilege, not a right. I won't beg for attention. I don't chase anyone. I focus on those who matter.